Hey guys, welcome back to another fun-filled, action-packed, non-flipped Algebra 2 classroom video. Today, notes number 2 for Unit 8, we're solving square root and cube root and whatever root equations. First, we got to warm up right here though, and as you guys already told me earlier, because I actually wasn't recording earlier, you guys learned PEMDAS when doing order of operations. However, when you're solving for variables, it goes backwards, so it goes SADMEP. So that's subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponents, and then parentheses last. Okay, so on number 1, applying that method, what would you do first? Add 3 to both sides, because addition, subtraction first. So we add 3 to both sides. That leaves you with 3 times x plus 2 equals 15. Now, what's next? You look at division and multiplication. So what would you do next? Division, divide by what? Divide by 3. Then you have x plus 2 equals 5. And then the last step here? Minus 2. So what's your answer? X equals 3. Very good. Alright, so now let's look at number 2. The second warm-up right here. This is just practice to know what order we're doing things. Number 2. What do we do first on number 2? Plus 5, right? Addition, subtraction first. So we add 5. That leaves you with x over 4 equals 12. And then what do we do here? Multiply by? 4 on both sides. So what's my answer then? Equals what? 48. That's right. X equals 48. Good. So this is all just warm up to make sure that you know what order you should be doing your problems in, okay? So now let's get into the meat of today, the main dish, if you will, the meat. Solving a square root equation or whatever root equation. So here are some steps just to let you get a general idea of what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the square, the cube, whatever root. You want to get the radical by itself on one side of the equal sign, and after that you're going to square, cube, raise to whatever power, both sides of the equal sign, solve for x, and then check your answer. Today, checking your answer is not that big of a deal, although you always want to do that on quizzes, on tests, because you don't want to miss questions, right? So let's just take a look at, all you're going to see today is just a bunch of examples showing you different types of problems that you will encounter and how to deal with them. So number 1, you have 2 square roots of x minus 5 equals 19. What would you do first here? Add 5, right, because addition, subtraction comes first. We add 5 to both sides. That leaves you with 2 square roots of x equals 24. What is next then? Times 2? It is already being times 2. So we divide by 2. You divide by 2, and that leaves you with square root of x equals 12. Now we're trying to get x by itself, right? Right now it's the square root of x. We don't want that square root. So how do I get rid of a square root? You cannot square root the 12. Because whatever you do to one side, you'd have to do to both sides. Right, so you're going to square both sides. Right, remember, you always do the opposite when you're trying to get rid of something, trying to cancel it out. So what's the opposite of square root? To square, right? So we square both sides. When we square both sides, if I square the square root of x, then that just becomes x. But then what happens to the right side? We also need to square the right side. So now it ends up being x equals 12 squared. And what is 12 squared? 144. So your answer is x equals 144. Like so. All right, on to number 2. On number 2, you can see that it says the square root of 3 minus 2x. All of that is under the radical. So technically right there, you already have the radical term by itself. So what you want to do is get rid of the square root sign. So what are you going to do? You square what? Right, you square both of them. So if I square the left side, what's left? And then I square the 5, right? Right, it's 5 squared, which is 25. So 3 minus 2x equals 25. And from here, we're just going to solve for x. So what do I got to do to solve for x? Minus 3 leaves me with negative 2x equals 22. And then last step here, Divide by negative 2. That's right, x equals negative 11. Very good. Boom. If you wanted to check your answers right, you would just take this number that you found for x and plug it back into the original and see if it actually is true, right? So you just take these numbers, plug it back into x, see if it equals what it says it equals. That's how you check yourself. All right, number 3. 1/2 square root of x plus 3 minus 4. What do you do here first? Plus 4, that's right. Addition and subtraction first. That leaves you with 1/2 square root of x plus 3 equals what? 5. What's next? Multiply by what? By 2, that's right. We want to get rid of this 1/2. How do you get rid of 1/2? You multiply by 2. Which would leave me with the square root of x plus 3 equals what? 10. Now we're at this step right here. Square root of x plus 3 equals 10. What do we want to do from there? You don't square root it. You square it, right. So you square both sides. So what is that? What's the next line going to say then? Equals? All right, what's 10 squared?
100.
So x plus 3 equals 100. And what do I got to do last step? So my answer is? X equals 97. Do not forget. Yeah. X equals 97. Number 4. What do I got to do on number 4 first? 3 plus 2 square roots of 2x minus 3 equals 13. What did you say? Subtract what? 3, that's right. It says 3 plus, which is the same thing as plus 3, right? So subtract 3. That leaves you with 2 square roots of 2x minus 3 equals 10. That's right. Okay, what do we do after that? Divide by 2. And so we get square root of 2x minus 3 equals 5. Square what? Both sides. Square both sides. What's my next line going to say then? Equals 5 squared, which is? That's right. Then we have to add 3. We get 2x equals 28. And then last step here, divide by 2. And that means your answer is x equals 14. There we go. X equals 14. All right, let's turn the papers over onto the back side. We're already at the halfway point. Boom. Okay, so number 5 and 6 look a little different. You see square root on both sides, right? That just makes it a little, that actually just makes it easier because how do you get rid of square roots? You just square both sides, and then what does that do? It just takes the square root away. So then what would my next line say? That's right. And so we just got to solve for x. So what should we do to solve for x here? Plus 7? Yep. If I add 7 to both sides, what's left? 3x? That's right. And then now, what do I do from here? Minus x. Subtract x from both sides. What's left? Equals. And then we got one final step. Divide by 2, which means my answer is... That is correct. You can just leave it as a fraction. Yes, x equals 23 over 2. That is fine. That's perfect. And there we go. Number 6. What is the first thing you do on number 6? Square both sides, yes. So what does that give me?
2x plus 23 equals 7x minus 7.
That is correct. All right, what is next then? Subtract 23. So we could do that.
Okay, you add 7?
Yeah, because you could do it your way too, but then we'd have to deal with negative numbers, right? Yeah. We don't want to do that. So what's left after I add 7 to both sides?
30. 2x plus 30.
Equals? Right? So now what is next? Minus 2x. Leaves me with? All right, 30 equals 5x. And then we got one final step. What is that going to be? Divide by 5.
X equals 6.
That is correct. X equals 6. Nice. Last 2 examples. Look a little different because now you see these are not square roots. These are cubed roots. That's right. However, you do the problem the exact same. So let's go through it. What would you do first on number 7? Add 4. That leaves you with the cube root of x plus 4 equals 5, right? Okay, so we want to get rid of that cube root, right? That's what we want to do at this step. Now, to get rid of the square root, we squared both sides. So what do you think we do to get rid of a cube root? We cube both sides. So what's my next line going to say? Equals 5 cubed, right? Just like that. But then what is 5 cubed? It's not 75. What does 5 cubed mean? 5 cubed means... Right, 5 times 5 times 5. 125, that's right. Trey's over here math whizzing on you guys. X plus 4 equals 125. And then? Which means your answer is? That is correct. Very good. All right, last one. Last but not least. The dessert. All right. What do you do? What? What'd you say? Minus 3. So that's the cube root of x minus 1 equals what?
3.
9 minus 3 is 6.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now what do we want to do to both, or what do we want to do here? Yeah, you cube both sides, which means your next line is going to say what?
X minus 1 equals 6 cubed.
Which is?
36 times
36 times 6.
3. 108.
36 times 6. You're just multiplying it by the little number. It's 216, right? 6 times 6 times 6. It is 216, that's right. And then what do we need to do for our final step here? Add 1, which means my answer is...
X equals to 17.
That is correct. And that is it for the notes today, guys. Just solving, no graphs, no nothing like that. Just algebra. We're done, so see you tomorrow in the next one. But until then, guys, peace! That's probably going to be